The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire. The human postponer. They were the master of one phrase. I'll circle back on that. But 3 months later, you were the one doing all their work and wondering how big that circle is. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can take the hiring load off your plate by automating the hiring busy work from the initial job post to scheduling interviews. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality. This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
This podcast is part of the Robots Radio Rocket Club, a program designed to help all podcasts reach their full potential. For information about joining the Robots Radio Rocket Club, check out robotsradio.net.
Welcome to the Final Fantasy Lorecast, a podcast dedicated to the history and lore of the Final Fantasy series. Join us as we take a deep dive into the different worlds, characters, and so much more. Welcome back, Warriors of Light, to another episode of the Final Fantasy Lorecast. I am one of your hosts, Ben of Temeria, followed by my awesome friend and one of my co-hosts, Trey.
Hello.
And you might be wondering, where's Steven? Why isn't he here? Well, Steven, today is him and his wife's anniversary. So happy anniversary to them, and I hope they are enjoying their awesome dinner together. Why we are talking about the awesome lore of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, 4 years. That is awesome. Congrats to them, and I hope they have a fantastic evening. But we've got a new. Is it a new season? Right?
It is a new season. We are on season 4. So we are going over, in this season, we are going over locations in the Final Fantasy series. And with that, why don't we just start with the locations, specifically in Final Fantasy, the game, like the first Final Fantasy.
What's that called? Cartography? The map making thing? What's it called?
Cartography.
I can't remember.
Cartography.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically what this is.
Cartography, geography, all that stuff. But yeah, just think it's a cartography geography episodes for this season. Now, this episode is going to be interesting because the world of Final Fantasy for the first game didn't have a name. So the name they used was just World A, because it was just something default they just used. So that is the world of the Final Fantasy that takes place. The world.
Well, they didn't name the world. They didn't name the characters. At least they named the towns.
This is true. That's true. They named the towns and they named the kingdoms. Just they never named the world as a whole. But it was never named in the original game, but it is referred to as World A in Dissidia 012 Final Fantasy. So, which is one of the Final Fantasy fighting games. There's, I think, like 3 different Dissidia games they've done over the years. So, there's that. I don't know, if you like, fighting style games, hack and slash, that's basically what they are. So, in addition to Final Fantasy, World A is also shown in the ending of Dissidia Final Fantasy in Light to All in Dissidia 012, and is also a near duplicate world called World B, where the Dissidia games take place. So that's pretty much it. That's like a good, rough up, hey, that's what this is called. You're on mute.
Yeah, I saw that. I like the idea that they use the original Final Fantasy world for Dissidia. I've never played it, but I appreciate all of the love they have for the OG stuff.
Right. Yeah, that I do too. Especially, I love how they did a lot of the original stuff. I liked how the newest Dissidia brought in a lot of 14 characters, in my opinion, but that's just me. But to get right into some of the locations of World A, we have the towns. So the first town we are going over is Cornelia. So this is where the journey begins, where the Warriors of Light arrive with the 4 orbs or crystals, what they actually were. And yeah, Cornelia is literally the city of dreams, where everything is all nice and pretty. So they say.
And yeah, it's your standard town. It's the great default start off location. It's isolated from the rest of the world thanks to the bridge being out. So it's just in the perfect location for the starting point of the game.
Right. And within Cornelia, they have Castle Cornelia, where the king of Cornelia and his kidnapped daughter, Sarah, live. And yes, part of the plot of the original Final Fantasy, the daughter of the king is kidnapped. Lo and behold, you have to go save a princess. So
that's pretty standard for role-playing games.
Yeah, just look at Mario.
Zelda.
Or Zelda, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. I didn't even think of Mario, honestly. I went to Zelda.
Princess Peach, Princess Zelda, you know, they always get kidnapped or some form of another, you know. But then we have Pravaka, a town taken by the pirates, led by Bike. Or Beaky? Or Bike? I don't know.
I would say Beaky, I guess. I don't know. I never
two Ks
thought
in
about
there.
saying it out loud until just now.
Right, because, you know...
Yeah, and this is the first town you get, like, it's the first town you get to after Cornelia. You know, you save the princess, and they rebuild the bridge for you, and then it unlocks that area. There's a pretty good... I'm looking at the world map now. There's a pretty good little distance between them. I don't really remember a lot about Pravaka, though, to be honest.
BK is how it's pronounced. Thank you, Boomhauser. Thank you so much for that. BK. Yeah, see, like, with the original games, 1 through 9, they weren't voice acted. Or wait, yeah, that's right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then 10 was voice acted.
10
but
is where they got the voice
protagonist, so it was the Titus debate.
Okay. I was making sure I was right on that. I was like, I worked in the game store for almost a decade. I would at least hopefully known that. Next we have Elfheim, home of the elves. And then also within Elfheim, you have the Elven Castle, where the Prince of Elves put into sleep by Astros lives. Astros?
Now, this is a town. Astos, I think.
Astos.
I'm not sure. But this is one I remember because if you go and read the tombstones, one of them is Lynx.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what, but yeah, it's Lynx.
That's awesome. Even though
and so it's
technically
a nice
Link is not an elf. Just saying. You go
Oh,
listen.
Box Girl says, "Yep, it says Rip Link."
Oh my god, that's awesome. Actually, if you want to go more into the elf stuff, go to listen to the Dragon Age Lorecast episode about elves. I'm on there with other hosts of other podcasts. We go over the different elves in this series. We don't go into the Final Fantasy stuff, but one of the hosts who does the Dungeon Dragon stuff specifically also hosts the Legend of Zelda Lorecast. Elves don't exist in Hyrule. That's it.
Look at Ben taking voice acting classes, getting plugs in Fluid for other things. He's just becoming a pro over here right before our eyes, ladies.
Oh my gosh. Oh yes, it's going to be my life. Hopefully. But next we do have Mal Dagar, home of the dwarves.
Tally ho.
Tally ho. Next we have Melmond, an artificial agriculture city ruined by the Rotten Land, also known to the scholar of Dr. Unne. Unne? Unne. U-N-N-E. Uni. I'm assuming. Dr. Uni. I will go with that.
That sounds good to me.
Next, we have Crescent Lake, a city in the middle of a lake, home of the Circle of Sages, which the Circle of Sages is essentially, there is a group of 12 sages from the original Final Fantasy, and they, they like magic.
The name's very literal, too.
Yeah.
I always
That's what I liked.
Part of it.
That's what I liked about, going over and doing this stuff for the original Final Fantasy. Everything is, straight to the point. Because Final Fantasy, with the namesake, this was originally going to be the last game that Square was going to release and develop because they were doing so bad. And then this game literally saved them. And it was their miracle, and, it was their little miracle infant that they never knew it was going to be existed.
I'm going to send a screenshot of Crescent Lake and what it looks like into the Discord, just so people can see how literal it is.
Okay. And then next we have Gaia, a city in the distant island surrounded by mountains and home to fairies. And Gaia, is also a word used for Earth. So there's that.
Honestly, before I looked into this and we were doing locations, in my head, I assumed Gaia was the name of the world, at least in the first one. So it was a surprise to me. And it had been a while since I played. I should have known that, but it had been a while since I played, and I just assumed it would be Gaia.
Right. Yeah, no, Boomhauser, I am not learning the fairy language. Yeah, I would love to learn.
Wookiee.
Good luck with that. Even people in Star Wars, humans, don't know how to speak Wookiee. She-Wook is very difficult, okay? But I would love to learn Elvish, just saying. Because Elvish sounds awesome. That's fair. And then we have Onrak, a city whose shrine was sunken by violent storms centuries ago. And then last but not least for towns, we have Lufinia, a city of Lufinians whose language is initially undecipherable. Which we will go into Lufinians later in the episode in the second half, because something changes with that with a specific game that connects this to this Final Fantasy.
We had somebody talking about it in the Discord earlier, strangely enough, which was funny.
Right. And then next after town... Oh, go on.
Nope. No, go ahead.
Okay, now we have dungeons. So we have the Chaos Shrine, initially where Garland keeps Sarah hostage, then it houses a portal to the past. And this is something that might come back up the second half of the episode as well, because of a very specific character. Two characters, actually, Garland and Sarah specifically.
This comes full circle.
Right, it's great. Then we have Marsh Cave, a cave where the Warriors of Light retrieve a crown. And what kind of crown? It's a crown that shimmers mysteriously. It's just the crown's a key item that you would use in the quest, guarded by Pisco demons, and then once they attain the crown, they battle Astros. And later, the Citadel of Trials, they use the crown to gain access to the trial, which allows them to seek the class change. So.
I remember it as the first place I got smacked.
Oh.
I was running pretty smooth, and I remember going into that dungeon, and that was the first time I was I had to level, because I looked and saw it's the one by Elfheim. Mm-hmm. And I remember having to grind a lot by them. That's why I found Link's Tombstone, because I was I needed a break from the grind of leveling, so I was in the town to level, to buy more potions and all that stuff. And I was just wandering around and found it. But yeah, Marsh Cave, I remember as the place that humbled me on my last playthrough of Final Fantasy 1.
Nice. So after that, we have the Western Keep, home of the Dark Elf Astros. Kind of blatant simple right there. You go to this dungeon to take down Astros. Next, we have the Cavern of Earth, home of the vampire and earth fiend Lich. And yeah, that doesn't sound fun either. Do you remember this at all? No.
I do not. It's been a while since I've played Final Fantasy 1.
And then we have Mount Golg, a volcano where the fire fiend Marith lives. And holy crap, yeah, Marith looks terrifying. She has 6 arms, golden hair, and a serpent bottom portion of her body. Yeah, no thank you.
Now I remember Mount Gulag because of all of the fire.
Oh, does it remind you of Mount Doom?
It does now. It didn't before. I just remembered the float and the damage thing, and that you had to float for damage. But now I'm looking at the picture and all I see is Mount Doom. So there's that.
You gotta take the ring to Mount Doom, Frodo. Then we have Cavern of Ice, a frozen cave where houses the Levistone. The Levistone.
Wonder if this is. It looks like it's where you could slide around.
I hate those types of dungeons, by the way, so much. And the Levistone is made from the same stuff as a Drewdrop Pebble. It's a recurring item in the Final Fantasy series. Mysterious rock that floats in the air. Description of the Levistone is a key item found in the Cavern Ice, guarded by the Evil Eye. With the Levistone in their possession, the party traveled to the Rukon Desert, in which they point an event to activate automatically. Next, we have the Citadel of Trials, where the Warriors of Light are sent by Bahamut to test their courage. And this is also a pretty straightforward thing. Citadel of Trials, you're literally there to do trials to get the approval of Bahamut.
Well, no, you're there to get just a little rat tail.
Oh yeah, that too.
How weird is it that you have to get a rat tail for Bahamut? Was that a translation error, or a rat's tail? Okay, Bahamut.
Right. Next, we have the Sunken Shrine, a temple sunken centuries ago, home of the mermaids, and taken by the water fiend Kraken. Which is also pretty straightforward. You fight the Kraken. Then we have Waterfall Cavern, a cave atop of a waterfall, which houses a warp cube. And the warp cube is a cube made of multi-hue substance. Is a recurrent item in the Final Fantasy series. The warp cube is a key item located in the waterfall caverns near Onrock and is given to the party by a robot, later revealed to have been built by the Lufarians. The warp cube is required to teleport between Mirage Tower and the Flying Fortress. And then we have Mirage Tower, which is a tower which leads to the Flying Fortress. Go figure. And then we have Flying Fortress, a fortress built by the Lufarians, taken by the air fiend Tiamat. And if you don't know Tiamat, Tiamat is a 5-headed dragon in D&D, and also is a 5-headed dragon in Final Fantasy. Sorry, he's a 6-headed dragon in Final Fantasy. They gave him one more head to be different.
Yeah, and they're all the same color.
Yeah, Tiamat in D&D
Didn't want to rip it off too much.
is literally different colors with different elements. Much like if you ever play Yu-Gi-Oh, there's a card called 5-Headed Dragon, which is literally is Tiamat. So, if you ever want to a little fun fact there. Bahamut's scared of rats, by the way, Boomhauser says in chat.
I saw that.
It
scared me too.
It scares. It's so scary.
I'm not scared of mice, but when they graduate to rats, that's when I jump.
Yeah, because they're freaking huge. No one wants a giant rodent unless it's a bunny. Bunnies are nice. Bunnies are cute. Next we have caves. So we have Matoya's cave, home of the witch Matoya,
which is really just the same cave as Mickey Mouse with the brooms. Oh yeah, you haven't played one, so you don't know that. Yeah,
so like
Matoya,
Fantasia?
Matoya is a witch.
Like
Fantasia. That's it.
Oh,
so
okay.
You go into Matoya's cave. She's missing an eye, and she has brooms just like dusting around, and you gotta like bring her eye back.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah, it is like 100% like Fantasia. When you finally get around to playing it, that I promise you that will be your immediate first thought.
Probably. Next we have Giant's Cave, a cave blocked by a Titan. And a Titan is literally a giant in Final Fantasy. Not like Titan, the
summon.
Summon. A different Titan. Oh, I guess. Yeah, I mean, yes and no. Titan was weird. It was different in the first Final Fantasy. It's a creature and also not a creature. And then we have...
Yeah, Boomhauer's right. You have to like give them the ruby so they'll get out of your way.
And then we have Sage's Cave, home of the sage Sada.
And I had forgotten about this until I went and read the story. And there's something there's just something that annoys me about going to like the third level of a dungeon, thinking it's done, going out, and then coming out and being told, no, you actually have to go deeper in. Here's the key to get deeper in. Like, just give me the key beforehand so I can go down in there. But
right,
it didn't. I mean, it didn't take too much away from the story. But I do vividly remember it now that I read the story. I remember going in, having to go into this cave and having to find him and be like him, tell me where to go.
Okay. And then next we move to deserts. So we have the Rukkadan Desert, where the Lufurians hid an airship, which we all know what an airship is. It's a ship that flies. Or it's just a hot air balloon. That too.
I'm also a sucker for hidden airships. Anytime they hide them and bring them up as a surprise, that is always a positive. That's always a boost for me. 10 times out of 10.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And then we have the desert near Onrock, where a cavern is found. Or caravan, sorry. A caravan's found. That's it. That's all that happens there in that desert. And then we have the Great Desert, a huge desert that the Mirage Tower is found in. That makes sense why it's called a Mirage Tower if it's, in a desert. Because deserts can create mirages if you're in a lot of heat. The sun will play tricks with you.
I'm sure having the desert this big helped for development, but it literally is as big as like a continent.
Right, yeah. It's massive. And then we do have a miscellaneous category where Cardia Islands, so this is the land of dragons led by Bahamut. Yes, Bahamut leads all the other dragons. Because Bahamut is literally king essentially.
Of dragons, right?
Essentially, he's also like the most powerful being ever created. Yeah, is the king of dragons in the original Final Fantasy. Wow, he's literally just a green dragon. I don't know how I feel about that.
Maybe if the light shines just right, he's a different color for you.
I hope so. All the Bahamuts I know are like silver or purple.
I mean, that might be just like the first Final Fantasy. They didn't have 3 different Bahamuts. They didn't have Bahamut Zero and Ultimate Bahamut and all the Bahamuts.
That's true. And then we do have the Dawn of Souls bonus dungeons they added. So we have the Earthgift Shrine, 4 Final Fantasy III bosses, Two-Headed Dragon, Aramon, Arachnia, and Cerberus are found in this dungeon. We have Hellfire Chasm, 4 Final Fantasy IV bosses. We have Scarmagalon, Cagnazo, Barbakia, and Rubicant. I think that's how you say them. Don't quote me on that. We have Lifespring's Grotto, 4 Final Fantasy V bosses, Gilgamesh, Atomos, Shinryu, and Omega. And we have Whisperwind Cove, 4 Final Fantasy VI bosses, Typhon, Orthoros, Phantom Train, and Death Gaze. Why does Phantom Train sound super familiar to me?
I don't know. It made me think of Final Fantasy VIII and a train enemy.
Yeah, it won't pull up. But yeah, that's what we have in the original Final Fantasy.
I didn't do any of those bonus dungeons.
I didn't either.
But I'm looking at those bosses. I mean, the first one has Cerberus, I guess. But all three, like the 3 of those sound fine. And then you have one that has Gilgamesh and Omega from Final Fantasy V. I feel like looking at those 4, that one just stands out as like a dominant group.
Right. So, and if anybody doesn't know, when I said Dawn of Souls dungeons, Final Fantasy 1 and 2, Dawn of Souls, is a compilation of the first 2 games in the series. It was released in Japan under the title Final Fantasy 1-2 Advance. So that's where that comes from. So, if anybody doesn't know, we never got it here in the West. So, there's that.
It made me think of Doom Train from Final Fantasy VIII. I had to go look it up.
Oh, Doom Train. Okay. But, yeah, that's what we had in the original Final Fantasy. So, with that being said, we are going to take a quick mid-break, and we will be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Perfect Bistro Cat Food. Hey guys, today I'm interviewing my cat about his Perfect Bistro food. Percy, you seem to be a big Perfect Bistro fan. Care to comment? Totally. What do you like about it? You love the high-quality ingredients? And the delicious flavors, of course. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Listen to Percy, guys. Visit perfectbistro.com to try it for your cat.
All right, welcome to the mid-break of the show, where we talk about everything with the podcast that has nothing to do with the lore of Final Fantasy. Here, we want to thank all of our patrons. Thank you so much for supporting the show. And if you, too, want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/Final Fantasy Lorecast, to where you can get ad-free episodes, or join us next week on our patron chat, because next week is our patron chat with Purple Archer, which I'm super excited for.
Yes. Also, Purple Archer asked us before last week's episode, and I forgot, favorite battle theme. So naturally, I narrowed it down to like 4.5. I think 9's my favorite. 4 and 6 are excellent. 8 is great, and 15 is really, really well done. Those are my top 5, but 9's my favorite. It's got the right tempo, it's got the right build. It hits the nostalgia points in all the right spots. It's 9 for me was my favorite of the playlist I've shared in the Discord.
That's fair. I would say mine would be Final Fantasy VII. After that, I would say 16. And then, just a bunch of random music from 14 because I love 14. And I will say the boss fight soundtracks for the Primals is epic. Just saying. And they have a band called the Primals that make the music for Final Fantasy 14. So there's that too. It's great.
That is pretty cool.
It's awesome. So, other than that, though, you can support the show as well with Apple and Spotify. If you go to Apple and Spotify, leave a nice comment or review with 5 stars, we read that out loud the next time on the show. As well as, you can join us on a few different Discord servers, the Robots Radio Discord at robotsradio.net, as well as my own Discord on the Ben and Friends Podcasting Discord. Both links are provided in the episode description below. And other than that, you can find us live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Ben of Temeria, where you can hop in our, live chat on Twitch, interact with us throughout the show as you keep hearing us talking about with Boomhauser or Purple Archer or anybody in the chat. Box Girl is also here. So, yeah. Thank you for watching live. And if you want to join us, it's awesome. A lot of fun. Anything else you want to add, Trey?
No, I got my Purple Archer bit in. I just wanted to make sure I didn't forget again, because I was supposed to do that last week, and I spaced it.
That's fair. But with that being said, we are getting back into more Final Fantasy locations.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast instead of doom scrolling? Smart move. Another smart move? Getting help from one of State Farm's 19,000 local agents when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Okay, we're back. And you might have already guessed as we're going through the show that this world in Final Fantasy makes a second appearance. And that would be in Strangers of Paradise Final Fantasy Origins.
I never really looked at the locations and how it all mirrored Final Fantasy 1, Strangers of Paradise. And it has the changes, but it also, it mirrors it so much. And it's almost like Strangers of Paradise was like a practice run for Rebirth and remake. Not Rebirth, but remake. And just hey, we're going to make this love letter to 1. And I played Strangers of Paradise, but I just didn't appreciate it like I should have. And after this podcast, I'm going to finish Rebirth first, but now, Strangers of Paradise has jumped way up my playlist because of this.
That's fair. And you also have some talks in our Discord specifically about Strangers of Paradise, because if you like Soul-style games, it's literally a Souls-like game. That's what the combat's based off of. So
not nearly as challenging. It's not nearly
it's not as punishing as Dark Souls or anything like that, or Bloodborne or anything, but it's that based off that combat style. But to get right with it, so a world known as Cornelia that bears many similarities to World A is the setting for Strangers of Paradise. While the game is meant to be a potential backstory to the original Final Fantasy, it is unclear if it is indeed the same world or simply a similar one. Now, this is where, it's essentially the same one, because thanks to the DLC that Strangers of Paradise got, we see the Warriors of Light from the first game appear. And it is literally that same world. So, with locations in Corellia, we have the Castle of Cornelia, the seats of power were King of Cornelia, also the home of the royal family, including Princess Sarah. We might have already seen this before. I wonder why. It might be because in Strangers of Paradise, you play as Jack as the character, But he goes by the surname of Garland. Huh. Wonder where that's named
Funny
from.
how that works.
And then we have the Chaos Shrine, a strange structure that has appeared out of nowhere where chaos is said to dwell. Might know where Chaos Shrine. That also sounds familiar from earlier. We have
the next part is the first little differential.
Yes, we have the Provoca Sea Goat or Sea Grot, a safe dock inside of a cavern where a pirate captain named Beke anchors a ship between his raids. So, again, same as the original Final Fantasy. We have then also Western Keep, an old war-scarred and abandoned citadel where the Dark Elf King Astros is reported to be living in. And then we have the Refrain Wetlands, a lush jungle-like forest where weather can be changed from sunny to heavy rain by the use of magical devices. So that's a new one that is not in the original Final Fantasy. And that's the thing with Stranger of Paradise. They with Strangers of Paradise, they're able to add more to the original game setting that they didn't have back then because they thought the Final Fantasy was going to be their last game ever. So. Then we have the Crystal Mirage, a mysterious translucent tower that is said to be a travel point to a place beyond the clouds. So this is where it's during Garland's time. It's called Crystal Mirage, where when you get to the time of the Warriors of Light, or one of the times of Warriors of Light in the original Final Fantasy, it's called Mirage Tower. Again, we also have the Flying Fortress, an ancient, highly advanced space station that houses the Wind Crystal, currently in the possession of the fiend Tiamat. And this is also different, where they added more to it. Where in the original, it's just an ancient structure developed by the Luthians. That's it. Now we know it's a space station. It's in space.
I mean, it is flying.
It is also flying. We have the Wicked Arbor, a dense forest covered in thick miasma and inhabited the dangerous monsters. Mount Golug, an active volcano that is the location of the Fire Crystal and usurped by Marith.
They couldn't get rid of Mount Doom. Had to keep it.
Yep, you had to have Mount Doom. Always have Mount Doom. We have the Hollowed Massif, a snow-covered mountain range with numerous undead roaming around. Yes, because what is more terrifying than just the undead? Frozen undead.
Do you think they moved slower towards you at least? Like you just had to briskly walk away instead of run?
Probably not. Not knowing our luck, probably not.
Life isn't fair, you're right.
Yeah. We have the Cavern of Earth, an ancient tomb in place where the Earth Crystal resides, along with the Fiend of Earth, Lich. We have the Ruins of Machina, ruins of a technology advanced extinct civilization full of dangerous machinery, which is another add-on to the original Final Fantasy, because the original Final Fantasy, there was tech, but there wasn't like super advanced tech or anything like that you would go to. Where in Stranger of Paradise, they added more like tech-based stuff. We have the Sunken Shrine, an energy-producing facility that houses the Water Crystal, guarded by Kraken. And then the Ancient's Tower, a tower of the ancient design said to contain secrets only known to a select few. We have...
You think Aerith grew up there?
I mean, I wouldn't put it past her or her descendants or something. I wouldn't put it past them. Not at all. We have Vigilia Court, a tower of incredibly advanced design. That's it. And then we have Terra Tura, several pieces of landmass floating in the air, lifted off the ground by enormous power. Yeah, that's locations on Cornelia, which is World A. But it has no like true name whatsoever. They just call it Cornelia after the royal capital city because they don't know the name of their own world because literacy. I don't know. And then
it's the only civilization there.
True. And then additionally, Cornelia is connected to Paradise, where the Luthians reside through the rifts in space-time. That is it. That is all we have in Strangers of Paradise as locations. Pretty cut and dry to what it was in the original Final Fantasy. Just they go a little bit more in depth with it in the game itself. Since you have more time and it can freely explore a bit more in a 3D setting as well, compared to original Final Fantasies at just 2D, 16-bit graphics, where Stranger of Paradise is full on 3D, 4K rendering and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, Strangers of Paradise, it feels a lot like Final Fantasy 13 to me, and then when you fight, it feels like a Souls type game. Like the gameplay is like a Souls type game. But in terms of gameplay, it's almost like that Final Fantasy 13. It's not like, I hate to call it a hallway, but it's a hallway, and it's a beautiful hallway, and I love it, and I love what they did with it. But it's definitely a different experience than the Final Fantasy 1 and walking from town to town and all that stuff.
Yeah, with Strangers of Paradise being a Souls-style game, it is very linear with where the story goes. And all Souls games, all Souls-like games, have to have some sort of narrow path to get to point A to point B for the story to progress. Yes, you're going to go through bosses. Yes, you're going to fight a lot of enemies. With Stranger of Paradise, Garland can change his class whenever, as long as you unlock the corresponding nodes in the skill trees, and which is a lot of fun because you can do completely awesome builds, whatever type of job that you want to go with, which is really cool. But with the DLC that with Strangers of Paradise, which is really cool, you specifically defeat Bahamut. You defeat Bahamut, and you tell Bahamut to train the Warriors of Light to defeat him, because he becomes chaos. Cool. Because Garland becomes the chaos, and the reason why Garland kidnaps Sarah in the original Final Fantasy is because Garland has a connection to Sarah thanks to Strangers of Paradise. So yeah, like Trey said at the beginning, it comes full circle with Stranger of Paradise to the original Final Fantasy and all that, which is really cool, and I really liked how they did that. So, only if we could get a little bit, like, if they ever do games like that in the future, that would be really, really cool. But yeah, that's what we have on the original Final Fantasy locations. You want to add anything else before we end the show? I mean, it was a pretty short episode.
I mean, you say that, but it's 8:53. Your next one starts in 7 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, when do we start recording?
That's
about 50 minutes recording wise.
Yeah,
but
we're
it's
50
probably
minutes deep.
30-40 minute episode. So
no, I mean, not really. I like the way that it's spaced out. Like I said that earlier. I really enjoy the way they present the map to you. The way it's, the pacing of it. That's the word I was looking for. I really enjoy the pacing of the map. They don't throw too much at you at once. They don't give you too much freedom, but they do give you enough to get lost for sure.
Right. Yep. So
it's not a hallway.
Yeah, no, the original one's not a hallway. Definitely not. Stranger of Paradise, more like a hallway because just that's how the game was developed and built story-wise. And it was also not meant to be like an expansive Final Fantasy game. It was meant to be a more combat-oriented game to begin with.
Yeah, they had a focus, and they executed on that focus 100. Like, I feel like for what they were trying to do, I played, I think, 70% of it, and I really felt like they nailed what they were trying to do.
Oh, absolutely.
But much like Purple Archer, I got lost. I got turned around, and there was no map. And so I just got frustrated and didn't go back to it, because at that point in time, I believe I had also just gotten Crisis Core. I was playing Strangers of Paradise. I got Crisis Core. I got stuck on Strangers of Paradise, and I said, screw this, I'm going to play Crisis Core. And just haven't went back yet.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. But
after this pod, I'm gonna have to now. Like, I have to go, and I will be paying so much better attention to all of the little details. Thanks to this. So hopefully, I'm not the only one.
Cool. Well, everybody, thank you for listening to the Final Fantasy Lorecast, and may the crystals guide you. Thank you for listening to the Final Fantasy Lorecast. You can find us on the Robots Radio Discord at robotsradio.net. You can find us on Twitter at FFLorecast, and you can email us at fflorecast@gmail.com.